Great, so we're here at Move 2024. I'm here with John Saffrett from ALD, or Ayvens now. John, how are you finding the event so far? It's just the first morning, but what have you seen? What's been interesting? How's the feeling?
I think it's great. Firstly, it's very busy, which is lovely. I think there's a bigger presence of tech companies here this year than we saw previously, which is just recognizing companies like yourselves and the importance of tech in the mobility industry as well. And we think it's a great chance to meet that emerging ecosystem of players who are going to be very, very important in the future and are looking for partners like ourselves to work with in the short to medium term.
Yeah, great. And what are the kind of key areas you're looking to get from the event? So obviously to meet some tech startups. There's lots of talks over the couple of days that are here. I know you're involved in a couple as well, but what kind of key themes that are on your mind?
Well, I think for us it's a chance to look at where tech's going to impact the industry, not necessarily today at scale, but in 3 to 5 years' time. So we have the chance to kind of get a feel for, and you'll know it with your experience, if there's 1,000 startups in one area and 10 in another, then the chances are where that 1,000 are working, something's going to incubate and come to the fore in the market. So it's a chance for us to see where people are investing their money, effort and their skills today. And it helps shape our own product and innovation strategy. So we can start to think about, okay, what does that tech mean? What new products is going to lead to, and what position have we got? What position do we want to have? But what position have we got today, and how do we learn and grow to the target position in the next 3 to 5 years?
Yeah, absolutely. That's definitely a thing that we see with a lot of our clients. They kind of talk to us in building, framing their ideas. Quite often we'll have conversations, and then 6 to 9 months later, it's come back with, okay, this is what we want to do now. And I guess it's a great place to have some of those like speed dating almost conversations.
Well, I think the other good thing is that, I mean it in the nicest possible way, you guys come in with a fresh set of eyes. So when you come in from a leasing company that's 40, 50 years, we're kind of ingrained in what we do and how we do things sometimes. And just by having a conversation and seeing what products are here and seeing what platforms are here like yours, it can just stimulate a different way of thinking. It means we can take that back to our colleagues back in the offices in Amsterdam, the UK, Paris, and just share the experience and trigger their own thoughts as well. So there's nothing bad about learning about new things. Even if you learn about new things and you don't want to do them, it's good. But learning about new things and knowing you need to do them and knowing partners like yourself to do things with, it's a perfect model.
Absolutely. And it starts to feed those things in over time. Even if, I mean, we've had loads of conversations, probably here at Move actually, with other tech companies where we can partner, and we have the conversations regularly of going, oh, and when we integrate that technology, we can do this new thing. But we don't get round to it for a while until the kind of use case really arises or it really comes to life. But it's one of those, you need it to be there incubating in your mind.
In a way. You know, and what's intriguing about all of the new mobility tech companies that we're seeing, they're all out of the box platformized in terms of how they think about it. You know, you go back 10, 15 years ago, systems were enterprise-wide, and you bought the whole thing or nothing. Now, because we've seen how digital is influencing everywhere in the world, you've got platformization and you've got pockets of excellence and vendors that you want to attach to your platform because they do that bit better than you can do it yourself.
Absolutely.
And you don't want to not have them in your playground and working with them. Due to some technology limitations. So you definitely see that now. More and more people are talking about integration layers and how we can connect with you and how we can do that quickly, as opposed to trying to sell you everything from front to back.
Absolutely. It's that microservices type architecture that's so important, because you want to be able to plug and play. And also for an organization like yours in a number of different markets. And we see it with our experience. There's certain payment providers that only operate in certain markets. So you want to be able to make sure that your payments platform, for example, so for us, we use Stripe in lots of markets, but in the UAE, we have Etisalat, we use Molly in the Netherlands. So you need to be able to have that interoperability. And I think we've seen similar things with one.
I mean, it fits in entirely with our strategy, you know, because we see with the scale we are with the ALD lease plan integration, we know we can standardize a lot of our business processes. Okay, so the core business processes, the operational processes, will standardize and run on standard platforms. But as you say, market by market, there's different providers on SMR, on channels to market, on remarketing, that generally are different market by market. And what you need to do is make sure you build a tech platform that allows you to integrate with those vendors marketplace by marketplace, rather than being all in on one. And you find then you can't deliver what you want to deliver in 5 or 10 of the major markets.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's so important to be able to plug and play, and it's the bane a bit of our tech team's life of going, hey, we've got a new payment provider to integrate with, and they go, we've just done it over here. But actually, it's the thing that makes the product actually work and be viable in that market. So it's super interesting. One of the things I just wanted to touch on as well, briefly, we were talking about it off camera, about subscription. It's an interesting topic, one that we're quite heavily involved in. I speak a lot about, but I still think that we haven't really seen true subscription. But your take was interesting in that as a leasing company, you are a subscription business, just not by name. So interested to get your thoughts on that.
Well, I always used to say I think subscription's just a sexy way of saying leasing. And it normally adds a bit to your market cap if you call yourself a subscription company rather than a leasing company. What I mean by that is I mean that a lot of the logistical pieces of the puzzle that make subscription what it is are already strong capabilities of leasing companies. Now, there is a pivot the leasing companies have to make in terms of the way they glue those capabilities together. So with subscription, you've got much more logistics going on than delivery of the car end of contract, but they've already got a logistics capability at scale. So can they then bring that into the subscription play? They've already got a huge choice of vehicles, new and used. So can they make that available on the platform at a price point? And, let's be honest, a lot of these subscription platforms today, the economics of it are pretty brutal. And particularly if you look at where the used car market's heading and BEV, RVs, we know all about. So there is a risk there in doing subscription at scale if you don't have an industrialized capability and you don't have a strong financial backing and risk management framework to manage it. I know they sound like boring things, but they're essential ingredients of the platform. And we'll continue to develop our subscription fleet. I mean, we have a flex fleet in Europe, which is more than 100,000 vehicles already. And that's in and out, 1 week hires, 1 month hires, flexible contracts with clients. And we'll continue to push that and grow that fleet, but make sure we do it by leveraging those core capabilities we've got already. And that's even before you get to digital and the channel you use to market it, which again is a different channel in terms of the client onboarding and everything else. I guess that's why you guys are doing so well in the industry.
Absolutely. I think it's the thing that we see is that combination of technology. We see it with smaller businesses struggling to scale because of those things that are, like you say, very boring, but also super important. How do you fund the assets? How do you manage them? To make sure you've got the right utilization, you need more than one channel. Probably at the moment, subscription can't. If you just have a standalone subscription fleet of 500 vehicles, it's quite a hard thing to get the utilization to make the unit economics work. And I do think there's a bit of kind of combining what's happening in fleet. So subscription is almost like a fleet product for retail customers. And there's a bit where people doing it need to understand that fleet bit, logistics, funding, or there's other bits. But also I think the fleet area can do a bit better in terms of things like logistics and the customer comms. And that's the technology layer, the product layer. If you've got a flex fleet putting 10 cars into tomorrow's journey as a fleet customer, doesn't need to be slick and seamless. If it's a retail customer, that handover collection thing needs to be more like Amazon.
And it's a really interesting point because, ultimately in the world we're living in now, that customer experience and the way you deliver that digitally, that's the DNA of your company. Right. So all of the stuff you've got underneath it, that can be not generic is the wrong word, but that can be industrialized and just work. The little bit of I always call it sprinkles and cream is what you show the customer and how the customer interacts with you. And that's where I think this combination of emerging mobility tech companies such as yourselves and large-scale leasing companies such as ourselves and some of the other players come together perfectly because you understand that game better than we do, let's be honest. We're trying to catch up, but as we're trying to catch up, you're acquiring new knowledge as quickly. And that's why we want to work with partners like yourselves and with other tech partners to meet at the show to learn and to learn together and bring our capabilities together to hopefully have a much bigger impact by joining up rather than all trying to master it individually.
Absolutely. No, it's super interesting. And just to wrap up, John, what are you looking for? We're talking on the first day. It's always good to date these things. That's what my team tell me. They tell me the opposite. But no, what are you most looking forward to seeing kind of for the rest of the show? Obviously, the highlight will be the panel that we're both on tomorrow.
Obviously.
But other than that,
I'm looking forward to getting through that in one piece.
Exactly.
That's my first.
We're going to have this same conversation again on stage.
I think we want to come away from tomorrow having extended our network and met some very interesting companies that we want to continue to talk about after the show, enriching our own knowledge about our view of 3 to 5 years' time
Yeah.
and refining it or changing it or adding to it based on what we meet at the show together.
Yeah.
And basically have a good experience by meeting like-minded people who are trying to develop tech, mobility-related solutions, driving the sustainability agenda, and helping us all get there a bit quicker in terms of these ambitions that we've got. So it's a great event.
Big challenges, but looking like a good event. It's going to be great.
Definitely.
John, thanks so much for taking the time.
My pleasure, mate.
All right, catch you soon.
See you soon.